everyone. So let me start by sharing a small story about my 1-year-old son Zain. So let me call Zain on the camera. So Zain is an active learner and he will be 1 year old in a few days time. So he absolutely loves learning. If we give him books, he looks at it very intently. One of his favorite pastimes is listening to bedtime stories. So he can get cranky throughout the day and he would demand that whenever he is about to sleep, he would get hold of his mom or me and make us tell him stories. So whenever we are telling him stories, he would nod along. So for example, if I tell him a story about lion, he would listen to it very, very carefully and he would demand, what kind of noise does lion make? So the point that I'm trying to make is that Zain learns through observation, and that is how all the babies learn. So there are a few key takeaways that I would like to share with you as to how babies learn and how adults can learn from babies and improve their learning outcomes. So this is what my talk is going to be about. Now, since I have handed over Zain to his mom, let me continue with this talk. So essentially there are 3 things that I have observed by analyzing and learning through Zain's journey. So first and foremost is that Zain learns through observation. So right behind this door, there is a garden. In that garden, every morning my wife, I and Zain go out, we roam around, and Zain gets very excited by looking at flowers. And his brain functions in a way that every time he sees a colorful things, his first intent is to go and eat it, right? So this is something that we have taught Zain, and we have tried to help him understand the things that are supposed to be eaten versus not. To do this, we take him to the dining table, we show him different type of food, and we eat from his plate. So that way he gets an understanding of things that are supposed to be eaten versus not. So he's learning through pure observation. The second way Zain is learning is through a positive learning ecosystem. For example, my wife, Zain's grandparents, we spend a lot of time, effort and energy in terms of creating a positive learning environment for him. For example, my wife and I use an app called as Duolingo, and we are trying to teach Zain Spanish via that app. So whenever we get a chance, we make Zain learn through that app. So we are trying to foster a positive learning ecosystem for him. And third and finally, I believe that Zain learns a lot of things through intuition. To give an example here, so Zain recently started learning on how to get down from his bed. So this is a very dangerous activity and we get very scared. But he has figured out a way by showing trust in him that, hey, I can get down from the bed. So he just has a very funny way. He just turns around, he figures out where to put his leg and he just gets down. So we consider it to be a fairly dangerous activity. But Zain, by showing trust on himself and trusting his intuition, is able to learn how to get down. Now the reason why I'm sharing these 3 specific points with you is that I believe that this is how adults should learn as well. Now this curious, intent-driven mindset goes for a toss the moment we reach the schooling system. What happens here is that we are sold, or rather our parents are sold on the idea of holistic learning, and we are told, or rather our parents are told, that if you send your kid to a school, it will not just be intellectual development, it will also be social development. So for example, your kid will engage with teachers, he or she will engage with their peers, and it will be a holistic learning opportunity for them. Now this is partially true, but I don't completely believe in this hypothesis. What ends up happening in the school system in reality is that it becomes an instruction style of learning, that you go to a class, you sit in a class, you absorb the lecture that is being given, and we end up spending 80-90% of the time doing just this. Now many of you might give me a counter argument. You might say that, hey Akshat, what might happen is that many of us do get the opportunity to be on stage, interact with our peers, so on and so forth, and that might be true. But this is not the general trend. Majority of us do not end up facing the stage. Majority of us do not end up learning practical things like personal finance, networking, or engaging with people from different communities, so on and so forth. So the point I'm trying to make is that in the schooling system, there is a very clear intent-outcome mismatch. What it means is that the intent of the schooling system is holistic personality development, but the outcome becomes a mad race for getting marks. So our entire brain focuses on just getting more and more marks. As a result, we miss out on learning several practical skills. For example, as I was saying, that we might not learn a lot about personal finance, which is an everyday thing that we need to engage with. We might not learn about networking, right? We end up taking networking classes post-college, in fact. We don't end up learning creative writing or critical thinking. So these are some of the key everyday skills that we miss out on. And the worst part is that we get habitual to instruction-based learning. So as we reach the university level, we become so habitual in terms of taking courses that we start telling ourselves that, hey, if I don't get a course on stock market or if I don't get a course on video editing, I will not be able to learn that skill. Now, this could not be further away from the truth. You can pick up literally any skill as long as you have that belief system in you, the way a small baby like Zain has. The important thing is to preserve that. Now, let me take you through why having that childlike curiosity is extremely quintessential in today's day and age. So let me talk about two trends, one macro and one micro, that is happening currently as we speak. So the macro trend being, so we are transitioning from a phase where we used to learn things actively to a phase where we are now being forced to learn passively. So let me explain that a little bit. For example, earlier, let's say 5-7 years ago, what used to happen was that if we require any data or any piece of information, we would go on Google and deliberately search for those things. For example, it could be that if I need more information on how to exercise well, then I'll go on Google and type that out. That, hey, tell me, Google, how to do a 20-minute HIIT exercise. Now what has started happening is that there is a lot of passive learning that is coming into the picture. When we scroll through our feed, be it through LinkedIn, be it through Instagram, be it through Twitter, we end up consuming a lot of information that we did not even in the first place intended to consume. Now, if we are not curious and careful, we can get into that endless loop of watching YouTube videos that we all are guilty of. So this is the macro trend that is happening, and this trend is only going to accelerate going forward. Now, let me talk about the micro trend that is going to impact our careers. Now, if you look at the job market, few years ago, it was a brand-driven market. If you are from a great MBA program or if you are from a great undergraduate or graduate program, your brand really mattered a lot. Why? Because no one knew how to network, no one knew how to create a portfolio of their profile online, no one had digital resumes, so on and so forth. Everyone was at a level playing field, and your brand of your college really impacted your career outcomes going forward. Now, this trend is changing. I'm not saying that your brand is not going to matter. Of course, it will matter if you're from an IIT or if you're from a Harvard. Of course, it puts you ahead in the race. But at the same time, one needs to start focusing on the skills. Not because this is a good thing to do or this is something that will foster your personal growth. You need to focus on the skills because many of the people in the job market have started doing that. They are showing that childlike curiosity and that baby-like intuition and belief to learn things and getting ahead in terms of their skill development. Now, to succeed as an adult in this changing learning environment, you need to create your own positive learning ecosystem. So let me share a few tips with you and then I'll close out this talk. So here are 3 specific tips that I would leave you with. So first and foremost, you should make your learning passive and intuitive. So all of us use social media like Quora, LinkedIn, Instagram, so on and so forth. So we should go and follow 10 good influencers on these platforms. So this will filter out a lot of junk that we keep receiving and it will automatically enhance our career outcomes going forward. It improves our passive way of learning. So this is one. The second point, that you should create a positive learning ecosystem for you. So as you might be aware that, when we go in college or when we are in school, we really enjoy the concept of study groups. We have these late night study sessions and late night parties, so to say, and we learn a lot from our classmates. So try to form these active learning groups and ecosystems or micro ecosystems wherever you can, right? Be it in terms of solving cases or be it in terms of GMAT prep, be it in terms of doing moots, so on and so forth. Third and final point, that like babies, you should not fear execution, right? So you should execute wherever you get a chance without worrying too much that how it would impact you. For example, if you have learned a skill, make sure that you participate in a moot. If you get an opportunity to teach somewhere, go do it. There is no harm. If you get to participate on a project or internship, do it. Do as many practical learning exercises as you can. So this would make your learning outcome holistic. With these steps, I'm confident that you will find great career success in your life, and I wish you the best. And I hope that all of us never lose out the childlike curiosity that all of us are born with. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to present my thoughts.